No one should see a couple's intimacy, but it happened that these two decided to do inappropriate things inside a public restroom. Worst of all, when the police arrived, they had to break down the door because the couple refused to come out. This should never have been recorded, and it's situations like this that you will see now. A prank is always meant to make people laugh, but some end up being extremely embarrassing. The situation is even worse when only the person who came up with the prank is having fun, while the victim and everyone around are visibly uncomfortable. And that is what happened in this video. At the airport, a woman was going through the security check, not knowing that her friend had prepared an unexpected surprise. The security agent began inspecting her bag because the X-ray detected something suspicious inside. However, upon opening it, he came across an enormous intimate toy, which caused a look of surprise on his face. The object was clearly visible, on top of all the clothes, still in its packaging. The prankster was filming the scene and started laughing, thinking it was hilarious. The owner of the bag, realizing what had happened, looked back and immediately guessed that her friend had placed the object in her luggage. Meanwhile, the clueless prankster just laughed at the situation, while the woman, the airport employee, and a few bystanders felt very embarrassed, letting out nervous giggles. Jamie Gladman wanted to take a weekend trip to celebrate her 30th birthday with some friends. She found an Airbnb that had 15 positive reviews, and she and her group set off to the place, eager for fun and relaxation. After the first day, one of Jamie's friends had a hunch, because before traveling she had watched a video about hidden cameras and how small they can be. Whether out of curiosity or to ensure everyone's safety, the group began inspecting the house and found an outlet that was not working. But that was not the end of it. Kennedy Calwell, Jamie's friend, decided to unscrew the outlet, while another woman filmed and the rest of the group watched closely. When Kennedy finished unscrewing it, they were all in for a big surprise. There was a tiny lens inside the outlet, which looked very much like a miniature camera pointed at the shower. Their worst fear was confirmed. They were being recorded, and the most shocking part was realizing that it happened precisely during private moments, without their knowledge. It was already night, and the Airbnb was in the middle of nowhere, so they had to wait until morning to leave safely. Jamie immediately contacted the police to report the situation, while Airbnb claimed it would investigate the case. Surely you have heard that Chinese people eat cat meat or even rat meat, right? However, consuming the meat of these animals is not very common nowadays, although it still happens in some rural areas and specific communities. What can be somewhat shocking is knowing that a rat can be cooked, fried, or roasted in China. This causes many people, when traveling to the country, to feel uneasy about what they might find on a local menu. Sometimes it is better to play it safe and not risk being surprised. A man went to visit China and, upon entering a restaurant, decided to investigate if there was rat meat on the menu. Not speaking Mandarin, he looked for a way to communicate. He took his phone, showed a picture of a rodent on the screen, and, using gestures, asked a young girl if there was rat meat served there. She, without hesitation, nodded her head yes. Still skeptical and somewhat uncomfortable, the man tried asking more than once, showing his indignation. The girl calmly repeated the gesture, confirming that yes, there were rats on the menu. When she noticed the man's discomfort, she started to laugh, and he, speechless, decided to leave. Israel Padilla is a content creator on social media who became famous for his spontaneous street interviews with a comic touch. In one of those interviews, he made a curious request to a young woman. He asked her to kiss him. However, right at the moment of the kiss, he simply turned his face away. The girl was offended. 4 months later, he found the same young woman again, and she cursed him out for not having kissed her before. She even argued that any person there would want to kiss her, but she was not prepared for what came next.
Because anyone here would.
Really?
Yeah, I bet. Watch this.
To prove her point, the girl tried to grab a few guys by the arm, offering kisses. However, none of them accepted. Upon being rejected, she insulted them and ran away, looking really embarrassed. The scene drew laughter from onlookers and served as a lesson for the young woman, who apparently did not expect to be turned down so directly. This moment generated a wave of discomfort for her and became viral content on social media. Emmanuelle, a visibly upset teenage girl who was told by her mother to do household chores, started scrubbing the living room floor without any enthusiasm. Her brother Manuel was filming it all and kept saying she had to do the housework properly, while the teenager complained a lot, doing everything grudgingly and slowly. Manuel kept encouraging Emmanuelle, trying to correct her movements and motivate her to do better, but she seemed uninterested. Tension between the two was growing until their mother's voice was heard in the recording, making threats and demanding that the entire house be cleaned, which only worsened Emmanuelle's mood. That was the breaking point for the young girl. Furious, she started wiping the television with the sponge, and in a hasty move, she sprayed water on the device with the hose. The mother did not notice immediately, since she was in another room. However, Manuel, seeing the chaos while filming, called for their mother. When the mother entered the room and saw what was going on, she let out a loud gasp and panicked, exclaiming, "Emmanuelle, what did you do?" In a distressed and frustrated tone, Emmanuelle was probably punished later, but her mother's initial shock at losing the television was intense, as she could not believe her daughter actually thought she had to clean the entire house literally, including the electronics. A marketplace works like an online market, where different people can sell their products on the platform. It is also a way for freelance delivery drivers to work, using their own vehicles to make deliveries, and they can work flexible hours. These professionals have the freedom to choose when and where to work, giving them a certain autonomy. However, some behave in a completely stupid way. A driver for an online store was in a bad mood and decided to take out his frustration on a customer's package. He was already at the delivery address, so all he had to do was drop off the order and leave. But for some reason, he chose to act disrespectfully before finishing his job. He threw the package on the ground with all the force he could muster. After that, he picked up the box again, knocked on the customer's gate, and announced he had a delivery. Someone in the house answered pleasantly and took the package. Then, the driver got into his van and left. The problem is that freelance drivers get paid very little for each delivery. That is one of the reasons why you might receive a broken package, or even see online that an item was marked "delivered" when it never arrived at your house. However, that does not justify being a jerk with the customer's products. Not everyone is good at bowling. In fact, most people just want to have fun and spend time with family and friends while playing, eating, and drinking. The main goal is usually to enjoy the moment, not to be an expert at the game. Therefore, there is no problem if you do not knock down any pins. The problem occurs when you throw the ball completely off course. This woman was bowling and made a throw that was far from accurate. She released the ball down the lane, but instead of following the proper path, it ended up going into the neighboring lane. However, to her surprise, the ball came back to her, giving her another chance. The ball, though, did not knock down any pins, neither in the first lane nor in the second one. A friend was filming, and the whole group experienced a moment of secondhand embarrassment. A regular car was certainly not manufactured to be used like some kind of tow truck. Passenger cars do not have the necessary structure or capacity to pull heavy loads without jeopardizing safety and the vehicle's integrity. Perhaps a pickup truck, a sports utility vehicle with towing capabilities, a van, a minivan, or even a large truck would be more suitable options for that type of task. But of course, there is always that know-it-all who would rather be right than accept being wrong, believing they can solve everything in the most improvised way, having an idiotic idea. That is exactly what happened with a man who decided to tie a rope to the front of a car to pull something very heavy. When he tried to reverse the car, the driver ended up losing the entire front part of the vehicle, which could not handle the load and broke off. In Cisarua, Bogor in Indonesia, there are several tours offering incredible experiences with tigers, letting visitors take photos and pose with these majestic animals. An Arab man, seeking a bit of adrenaline and courage, decided it was time to face the challenge. Thus, he posed next to a tiger, smiling for the camera. During that moment, someone accompanying him encouraged him, saying, "Look, look." Confident, the visitor placed one hand on the tiger, showing complete calm and apparent safety. However, the situation quickly changed. As soon as the tiger made a small move to the side, the man, who had been calm until then, lost all of his confidence and, in a panicked reflex, leaped over the outer fence, trying to escape the situation. The tourist's sudden reaction, attempting to flee from the animal, was quick and unthinking. Everyone around watching the scene could not hold back their laughter at the man's fear and his clumsy attempt to run away. A video posted on YouTube Shorts showed an unusual and, for many, very bizarre perspective. The camera was positioned inside a man's mouth, and it is hard to describe how strange the scene looked. With the lens capturing the oral cavity, the man filmed the back of his teeth, his tongue, the roof of his mouth, and other little things that probably nobody would want to see. The funniest part was the visual effect on his hands, which, due to the peculiar perspective, appeared weirdly stretched and out of proportion. He begins walking around the house, and the footage becomes even more disconcerting as he moves through different rooms. He goes to the bedroom where his partner is sleeping and unexpectedly gives her a kiss on the cheek. The filming ends in an even stranger way when the camera, still positioned inside his mouth, goes dark, ending the scene almost surreally. For many, playing video games is more than just a pastime. It is a passion. The PlayStation 5, being the latest generation console, is the dream purchase for thousands of gamers worldwide. However, not everyone can fulfill this wish easily, making the moment of finally getting it even more special. An emotional example of this is the video in which a gamer cannot hold back his happiness upon buying his PlayStation 5. When making the purchase, the salesperson gets the console and hands it to the customer, who pays by tapping his card. The moment of sheer joy starts building up, and, unable to hold back, the man starts crying. Then he kisses the PlayStation 5, a symbolic gesture of happiness and achievement. Understanding the customer's emotion, the salesperson hugs him to share the moment of joy. Not satisfied with just being happy, the two begin jumping with excitement. Overcome with emotion, the man finally takes his new toy home. Floods are common in Brazil, but mixing a flood with someone who is not used to wading through deep water can lead to unexpected results. A woman needed to cross a flooded street filled with parked cars when a stranger offered to help. She took off her sandals and held them in one hand, maybe trying to keep them dry, which might seem odd since everything around was submerged. The man helped the lady, who managed to cross the street safely with the water already reaching her ankles, making walking even harder. Upon reaching the other side, the woman did that automatic gesture many people do when they want to put on their sandals. She dropped them on the ground to slip her feet in. However, because the street was heavily flooded, a strong current swept through the area. When she tried to grab her sandals, there was no time. The current was faster and carried them away, causing her to lose sight of them as she resignedly said goodbye to the sandals disappearing downstream. The couple went into a public restroom, the kind with several stalls. It was clear they were not there for basic needs, but for a moment of intimacy. However, they were interrupted by two police officers who stopped them from continuing. The officers caught the pair, and soon a big commotion began as the couple refused to come out. This went on for about 35 seconds, and as expected, it was filmed and shared on the internet. Even while being caught, the man seemed completely offended by the officers' actions. He started verbally arguing with the agents, refusing to leave the stall. The woman, who stood behind him and was shorter, did not appear at that moment, probably out of embarrassment or trying to avoid the situation. Seeing that the couple would not come out, the officers tried to break down the door, constantly demanding that they leave immediately. When the door was finally broken, one of the officers grabbed the man, and a female officer quickly pulled the woman out of the bathroom, expelling both from the premises. The description of this posted video is, sometimes you wish the security cameras had caught you shoplifting instead. What the camera did capture is at least unusual and funny. A man decided, quite spontaneously, to check the odor of his backside while at work. The problem was that the room he was in had security cameras, and they ended up recording the scene. He slipped his hand, fingers and all, way down there. Then he sniffed his hand to check if everything was all right. Back there, from his face, it seemed it was not so good. The funny part is that he tried to pretend nothing was going on, as if he was doing something normal, since his colleague was right in front of him. But of course, the camera caught everything, and somehow the video was eventually shared on the internet. A group of children of the same age were gathered, all wearing reflective vests. They were excited. It was a group activity just for the little ones. Most of them were in a line, while one stood out, feeling thrilled, without realizing he was being filmed. They were all having fun, and this boy could not contain his excitement. To show how happy he was, he began doing a few improvised dance moves, moving his feet and hands from side to side in a spontaneous way. It was not a choreographed dance, just a joyful moment. However, when he glanced to the side, he noticed that he was being filmed and immediately felt embarrassed. You can see him taking a few steps back, trying to hide from the camera. But unfortunately for him, his burst of happiness had already been captured, and the footage went viral. Nobody actually thought he was embarrassing himself. In San Francisco, California, a situation drew attention on social media. Allison Edel, a woman from California, became famous after calling the police to report an 8-year-old girl who was selling water on the street without a permit. The video of the incident, which took place in June of 2018, quickly went viral. The girl, Jordan Austin, was just trying to make some money by selling bottles of water when Allison approached her and asked to see her license. When she got no response, Allison threatened to call the police. The video of the incident was filmed by Jordan's cousin, Rage Lee, and soon spread across social networks. In less than 2 days, the video had more than 8 million views. In the video, Jordan's cousin narrates the situation, saying that Allison was trying to hide from the camera while calling the officers. What started as a simple sale of water by a child quickly turned into a scandal, with Allison facing a wave of criticism. She was the chief executive officer of a company called Treatwell, which makes cannabis-based products, and she began losing contracts after the video went public. Some businesses, like cannabis dispensaries, distanced themselves from Allison, saying her behavior was unacceptable. After the backlash and a flood of mockery online, Allison Edel stepped down from her role as chief executive officer of Treatwell. Allison apologized publicly, but Erin Austin, Jordan's mother, did not believe the apology was genuine, stating that if it were truly sincere, it would have happened right after the incident, before the negative backlash. She and her daughter received support from various people on social media, including tickets to Disneyland. 2 teenage girls decided to do something funny that probably was not age-appropriate. Both were wearing shorts that were not suitable. They set up a phone to record the moment and chose a very danceable track. As soon as the music started playing, they began dancing in a rather improper way. However, an older woman who was responsible for the two heard the noise and decided to put an end to their antics. She burst into the room, holding a basket of dirty laundry, clearly already too busy to deal with 2 irresponsible teenagers, and took drastic measures. She slipped off one of her sandals and charged at the 2 girls, hitting them on their backs with the footwear. The 2 shrieked and tried to run away, but each took at least 1 smack, all to teach them not to pull off such nonsense. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.